The story of this drawing goes like this. Jeremy had always despised his Aunt Clara. It wasn't that she was a bad person, it was just that she had a way of making him feel uncomfortable, even repulsed. The source of his unease was Clara's peculiar habit of smothering him with kisses whenever she visited. Clara was a heavyset woman with a penchant for garish makeup, especially her thick, sticky lipstick that always left a mark. But it wasn't just the lipstick that bothered Jeremy. It was the scent that accompanied her, a nauseating blend of cheap perfume and something more sinister, like the stench of a dying flower. One chilly evening, as winter's grip tightened, Clara arrived for a visit. The holiday season was in full swing, and the family had gathered to celebrate. The scent of fresh baked cookies filled the air, and the twinkling lights of the Christmas tree cast a warm glow throughout the house. Jeremy couldn't avoid Aunt Clara forever. She cornered him in the living room, her red lips smeared with her signature thick lipstick.
Come here, sweetie,
Clara said, leaning in to plant her customary kiss on Jeremy's cheek. He reluctantly leaned in, his skin crawling with revulsion. As her lips made contact with his cheek, something inexplicable happened. Jeremy felt a sudden urge of dread, unlike anything he had ever experienced. Aunt Clara's lips didn't just kiss him, they seemed to engulf his entire cheek. Her mouth stretched impossibly wide, and her lipstick grew thicker and more vicious by the second. It clung to Jeremy's skin like a relentless vice, suffocating him. Panicked and gasping for breath, Jeremy pushed himself away from his aunt's grasp. Her lips snapped back to their normal size, and she looked at him with a concern.
Are you all right, dear?
She asked, oblivious to the horror she had just unleashed. Jeremy didn't answer. He stumbled backward, his heart pounding into his chest, and his eyes locked on Clara's face. It was then that he saw it. The unmistakable glint of malevolence in her eyes, a sinister gleam that sent shivers down his spine. Terrified, Jeremy fled the room and locked himself in his bedroom. He could hear the muffled sounds of laughter and conversations from the living room, but he dared not go back out there. He knew that something was terribly wrong with his aunt, something that defied explanation. That night, Jeremy couldn't sleep. He lay in his bed, his mind replaying the horrific images of his aunt's transformation over and over. He couldn't shake the feeling that she had become something otherworldly, something monstrous. In the days that followed, Jeremy's behavior changed. He became withdrawn and reclusive, spending hours in his room drawing. His sketches were all the same, a grotesque, human-like creature with multiple mouths and thick, vicious lipstick. His parents grew increasingly worried about him. They tried to get him to talk, to explain what had happened that night. But Jeremy remained silent. He couldn't find the words to describe the terror he had witnessed. As the years passed, Jeremy's obsession with his drawings only grew. He filled notebook after notebook with images of the creature that had once been his aunt. He became a recluse, rarely leaving his room, and he stopped attending family gatherings altogether. One Christmas, many years later, Jeremy's parents received a phone call. It was Clara, inquiring about their son. She had heard that he was unwell and wanted to visit him. Jeremy's parents hesitated, but they eventually agreed, hoping that her presence might help their troubled son. When Clara arrived at Jeremy's house, she found the front door unlocked. She ventured inside, calling out for her nephew.
Come here, sweetie.
The house was eerily silent, and the air felt heavy with foreboding. She climbed the stairs to Jeremy's room and knocked softly on the door. There was no response. She pushed the door open and gasped at what she saw. The room was filled with Jeremy's drawings. Covering every inch of wall space, they depicted the same horrifying creature over and over again. The monster that had once been on Clara. But there was no sign of Jeremy. Clara's heart pounded in her chest as she realized that her nephew was gone. The room felt like a shrine to his obsession, a testament to the horror that had consumed him. She fled the room in a panic, the echoes of her footsteps the only sound in the empty house. Jeremy was never found, and his disappearance remained a mystery. His family could only wonder what had become of him and what he had witnessed that fateful Christmas Eve. Clara, haunted by the memory of her nephew's terror, could never shake the feeling that she had unwittingly unleashed something malevolent that night. Something that had taken Jeremy away forever.